Welcome to the office. I wanted to take a quick look today at some notations and how we name angles or label angles. So let's take a look at, let's see here. We have some problems from section 3 is what we're looking at right here. So again, we're in section 3, polygons, and I think this is where it begins to appear. Maybe it appeared elsewhere already, but let's take a look at this particular example because it very nicely has. On the left, we have angles, and in those angles, right, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course, there's many other angles, but there are numbers here or labels of degrees. And over on this picture, we have beta and alpha and gamma. So what's the difference, right? Labeling with a number, as in a degree measure, versus labeling with a number that's not a degree measure, and labeling with a Greek letter. What's the differences? Well, of course, the labeling with a degree measure, that's pretty straightforward. It's actually the degree measure of that angle. That's no problem right there. But that angle is 100 degrees. Of course, we're comfortable with that. Now, when we label an angle with just an integer, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, what we have here is we have a name for the angle itself. So this angle right here is named angle 1. You could have named it Bob, whatever you would like. In this case, 1. So labeling it in this way is giving it a name. And we could say that the measure of angle 1 is equal to some measurement, some degree measure, or some radian measure, of course. So the measure of angle 1 has a degree measure. So the 1 is just a name, a way to reference that particular angle. You'll notice here that there are no points on the lines. So I couldn't talk about the measure of angle A, B, C because I don't have points A, B, C. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 are reserved for names of angles. A, B, C are reserved for names of points. So we move over here and we observe exactly the naming of points. So what we have is we have the naming of points, P, Q, R, S, and T. And for example, I could talk about this angle right here. Now, this angle right here is the angle, let's see here, we could call it PQR. So angle PQR refers to this angle right here. We're comfortable with that. We could also talk about the measure of angle PQR. And when we talk about the measure of angle PQR, this has some degree measure or some radian measure. But in this case, what we're saying is that that degree measure is beta. So beta is a measurement. We just don't know what that measurement is. So we've now seen the different labelings and ways in which we can refer to angles. So an angle could be unlabeled because it's not part of our concern for the problem. It could be labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, a way to refer to the angle, a name for the angle. We can also refer to an angle by the points that create the angle, PQR. So we can talk about angle PQR. We could talk about angle 1, okay? And we could talk about a measure of angle 1 or the measure of angle PQR. So that's ways we can name angles and refer to them. And then in this case, when we use a Greek letter, we're just saying that that's the measure of the angle. And that's it, right? A placeholder. We could have used XYZ, although I guess there's no good reason why you couldn't. It's just maybe not the convention. So at least not for this particular text. All right. If you were curious as to how you might know that from the context of the problem, here we have if this line and that line are parallel, QR and PT are parallel, and beta is 22 degrees greater than alpha, right? It doesn't say the measure of angle beta. It says beta is 22 degrees greater. So we know that beta itself should be an angle measure. And then 22 degrees greater than that. So then that is a degree measure. as well. So that lets us know that alpha and beta are angle measures, and then gamma is labeled in the same way and grouped along with alpha and beta at the end of the sentence here, informing us that gamma is also an angle measure. All right, so using the context a little bit, I apologize if that wasn't clear. Thank you for asking your questions, and I'll see you guys back here in just a little bit.